Can you tell us exactly what you do as a windsurfing coach? What does that entail?
As a windsurfing coach, the biggest thing you do is you bring structure to the whole program. You kind of see the bigger picture of what needs to be done for the athletes who are on the journey to the Olympics. You draw on all your experience. I'm an ex-competitor and windsurfer myself. Did 10 years at the top level on the Olympic level. So I generally oversee the day-to-day structure of what training we need to do, what events we need to try and fit into the calendar, and just to make sure that the windsurfers are on the right track to get to where they need to be. After Beijing Olympics, I then moved back into looking after the Olympic team and the national youth squad, which were the under-19s as well. It helps me because I get to be looking after the feeder group that are coming through for the next generation, but also it doesn't put so much pressure on myself and the top Olympians at the time that, 4 years is a long time, and if we're working one-to-one for 4 years, by the end of 4 years you could be pretty stale. So it works on both ways. That for the first 2 years I work with the national youth squad and the Olympic team, bringing them through, and then the 2 years before the Olympics, then I dropped the youth team and I work solely with the Olympic team.
And that's focusing on Bryony.
Yeah, it was focusing on the performance sailors. So this time it was Bryony, but just this year, the girls that were on my youth team for the first 2 years of the campaign, they're now Bryony's training partners, and looking to get on the performance squad, and they're very close to it. So it's worked great because they've come through under my wing, and now they're under my wing again, but at the high level and helping Bryony to get a medal.
Fantastic. So talk us through sort of a typical training day with Bryony.
There's never a typical training day in sailing, which is mostly because we travel so much. So one of the main advantages of being based in Weymouth now, because of the Olympics, is we've managed to fit it into a kind of a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday week, which is kind of what every sailor wants but can never achieve, because you go away for weeks on end and then you just work. You never know what a weekend is. So now we're lucky enough to be able to fit it into a Monday to Friday. So we meet at the gym at 8:45, and we either run through a strength and conditioning session or a cardio session, and then finish off a bit of physio, and that's in the morning. And then we meet up again about 1 o'clock after a long, well, it sounds lazy, but a relaxing lunch, just to recover for the next session. Then we hit the water at 1, and then we do up to anything to 2 to 3 hours on the water, hard physical training. In terms of, I structure the day in a training day, but at a regatta we're in the hands of the organisers. So then my role changes in terms of just making sure that the athletes have everything they need to perform. It's from making sure that they've got the information they need about the wind and weather and the conditions in the morning, to making sure that they've got everything they need on the water, the spares and the refueling things on the water. And then when we're on the water, it's more of an advisor, talking about the tactics and what could be the best route up the course that day.
What are the biggest pressures on you as a coach, sort of during these events?
The biggest pressures as a coach at events are mostly just keeping the sailor grounded. Everybody has good days, everyone has bad days, and it's just trying to keep it as neutral as possible, and making sure that they keep their processes so they always know what they're working on, so they don't get lost, because it's quite easy to flick the switch in the head and spiral out of control. So keeping an eye on them, but also keeping an eye on the foreigners, the main competitors. That one eye is always on them, making sure that we know what they're doing, what their new techniques are, whether they're ahead of the game, behind the game, and what we can take from them. So it's like a spy / psychologist role.
Right. Nice. Okay. What sort of qualities do you need as a person to be successful at an Olympic level as a coach? What sort of person do you have to be? Apart from a spy slash.
Yeah, spy. So I think you've got to be selfless to be a top level coach at the Olympic level. I think you've got to be selfless at any level to be a coach, because you're trying to give. It's not about you. It's about the athlete. You're trying to get the best out of them, and at the end of the day, it's not you that's winning or losing the races. You're just a medium in the middle, trying to help them. So I think selfless and keeping it fun. Yeah. You know, it's highly stressful at any level, and as a coach, if you start getting stressed out by it and making it not fun, then it feeds through to the athletes, and they'll just won't enjoy it. And the best performance you get is when people have got a smile on their face.
Yeah. So when you've got your sort of international competitors here in training mode, are all the coaches walking around eyeing each other up, or do you speak, or do you avoid each other?
No, especially on the windsurfing side of things, we're definitely a travelling family. Bryony's main competitor is a Spanish girl called Marina, and she came fourth at the Olympics with Bryony on the last race in Beijing. But her fiance now was my usher at my wedding.
Right.
So it's kind of when we're on the water we're doing a professional job, but when we're on the land we're trying to keep it as real as possible. Yeah. It's not life or death, and we always want to win, but we want to have a good life with it as well. We do talk to each other, yeah. There will be some bickering along the way, that's for sure. But the coaches have their mind games as well. Yeah. Which is quite fun.
That's good.
It keeps us entertained when they're racing anyway.
That's good. So obviously, being the coach to Bryony, does she always listen to you?
Yes. Yeah, Bryony. Yeah. Yes. But you got to persuade her.
Yeah.
I think the best way to get Bryony to listen to you is to persuade her that she thought of the idea, and then it's okay. So that's kind of generally the role that I tend to bring out every day. That
plant the seed,
subliminally put it in there, and then she comes up with the idea, and then I'm like, that's it, amazing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Why didn't I not think of that?
Do you find as a coach, as well as sort of doing the sort of technical side and the sailing side, do you become sort of a confidant, a bit of an agony aunt, a close friend, or do you keep it quite business?
Oh no, it's we live in each other's pockets. I mean, whether it's, I don't know what you would call it, a brother-sister relationship or a husband-wife relationship, we definitely confide in each other. In the end, it's just the two of us, and what makes us a strong team is it's us and not I. Yeah. In the end, it will be Bryony's medal, but we will always call it our medal between the two of us. And in Beijing, it was our medal. It's in her sock drawer now, the bronze medal. But if we were ever to talk about it, we are a team, and it's an us. And so, and that's one of the strongest points to the two of us, I think.
How would you describe her personality? What makes her driven? You know, she's a driven person. She's obviously got the natural skill as well. But how would you describe her?
Scatty.
Okay.
Forgetful.
Right. What am I doing today?
Yeah. Where am I? Oh, where are my car keys? There's two sides to Bryony. When she's a great person to train. Every day she gives 110%. And you never really have to convince her how hard she has to train, and that's easily one of her biggest qualities. And you speak to any of her competitors, and they know that if they have a one-to-one situation with Bryony, that they're up for a tough battle, and that echoes through. I mean, a couple of years ago there was a rumour that she was called the Machine, because when she was competing, you could just see how physical she was and how focused she was, and it was a great thing for her to know that that's what some of the competitors and some of the foreign coaches were saying. So on a day-to-day training, she's amazing to train, gives it all. So I think that would be the biggest thing that people say about her. I guess the home advantage with the home fans is a plus and a negative, and I'd like to think it's more of a plus than anything else. It's not often you get to feel the roar of the crowd at a sailing event, and I'd like to feed off that energy. I'd like Bryony to feed off it as well, and not go back into her shell. But that would be one of our biggest challenges, trying to deal with that and how well it goes.
Where does your biggest competition lie as it stands at the moment?
There's about 5 or 6 girls that have an absolute definite chance to medal at the Olympics. We have Spain, we have Israel, she's just won the last 2 World Championships. The Polish competitor, she's very strong. She's had the silver at the last 2 silvers at the last 2 World Championships. So they're like the main threats, including Bryony is up there. And then the outside chance I can see is possibly China and France. They're kind of like the unknowns that can pop up depending on what the conditions are. But if you're looking at the main 4 people I would say would be GBR, Israel, Spain, and Poland.
Okay. So if you've been out with Bryony and you've had a day where maybe she hasn't achieved what she wanted to achieve or maybe underperformed a little bit, what do you do as a coach to sort of keep her motivated and focused?
I mean, whatever happens each day, we have a focus for the day. So, you know, you can have good days and bad days, but as long as you get something slightly positive out of it, then you know you're moving forward. So we will always draw back on actually what did we really go out to achieve on that day. So if that is the Olympics, there'll always be something positive out there, and the biggest thing that you can do is just keep everything positive. If you start focusing on the negative, it's not going to do any good whatsoever, especially at a regatta, especially at the Olympics. Yeah, we just need to remember each day there's little things you can work on, and if you achieve them, then it's been a good day.
So, as a coach, you mentioned that you have those periods where you're working with the development squads and everything. Do you find yourself walking around going, oh, they look good? Are you always constantly looking? Do you switch off?
No, always looking. Yeah, always. I'd like to say I'm kind of observing all of the age groups. I mean, I know who the top 14-year-olds are. I know who the top 13-year-old kids are. You know, I do work closely with the junior coaches as well, and we do have very open conversations about where the next pathway is coming through. And I'm always keeping an eye out. But that's not only for our country; it's for other countries as well. You know, I could tell you in 2020 who might be a leading container from Brazil or from Canada. You know, you can see it in their eyes, and you can see the way they are on the water. That there's just that little something there that I think, as an experienced coach, you spot straight away.
Wow, gosh. So what is it? What are the qualities that make a good windsurfer? Is it physique? Is it mentality?
It depends on where you are. If you're at any level, it's enthusiasm, and you know that's right across the board. But enthusiasm when you're young, you know, it seems like a lot of kids have that. But what you see on the water is that sort of, I don't know, competitiveness.
Right.
There's that little spark in there. When you get up to the high level, the Olympic level, that's already there. You know, you wouldn't be there unless you had that little competitive spark. So then it goes back down to hunger. And you can see that when you're in the water and how focused they are every day. Like, they're not wasting a single moment on the water. And it's very easy when you're out there, you can see people training, and you know that they've gone out, and they might have gone out for 4 hours, but actually they don't know what they've done. They've come in and they think, right, I've ticked a box, I've done 4 hours on the water, but they've not actually been focused the whole time. Whereas you can see the people that go out there probably do half the time in the water, but they're fully focused and know exactly what they want to achieve that day. And that's what you notice straight away.
Okay. How do you keep yourself motivated?
Good question. The biggest thing for my motivation is this is the home Olympics, and as soon as it was announced, I knew what was going to happen in England. I knew what was going to happen around Weymouth. The buzz is building, and it will be electrifying when it becomes the Olympics. I've been to 4 or 5 Olympics. You know, I've been to Sydney, I've been to Athens, I've been to Savannah in '96. I've been involved in it. And that's the biggest thing that drove me. That's what, you know, I moved my family down closer to Weymouth. For that, I knew what was going to happen. So every day I know the bigger picture. I know what the goal is, and the goal is to get a medal. But also the vibe that will go around in Weymouth will be amazing, and hopefully everyone out there will be enjoying it and having a great time during the Olympics.
Fantastic. So how did you get into coaching yourself?
It was a step to the dark side in my eyes when I was a windsurfer and was full time on the Olympic tour for 10 years and never ever saw myself as a coach at all. It was just I retired from competing and I stepped away from the sport for 2 years. Worked in London and did all the normal work stuff that kind of happens, and then I had a phone call from Bryony actually, and asking if I could come down and work with them in Spain for a week, just because I think the coach at the time was away and they just wanted someone to fill in, and so I agreed. It seemed like I still missed the sport, I still enjoyed it, but never thought I was going to be a coach, especially an Olympic coach. So then when I flew down there, I all of a sudden had this verbal diarrhea of just information that just came out, and it was took up straight away by the athletes. But also I really enjoyed it.
Right.
I really enjoyed that actually this information was in my head, and I could see an instant change, a positive change. So that was the first step to me becoming a coach.
It's a bit of an epiphany, maybe.
Possibly. It seems. I mean, it seems a logical step. It's just too much information not to pass on, and I think that's how I started thinking about it, and I really enjoyed it.
So you mentioned that you've been to a lot of Olympics and some amazing locations. What, if any, really stands out for you? Is there a moment that you think, God, that was good, or that was incredible, or? I
think the Sydney Olympics. Well, actually, scrap that. The last Olympics, coaching a medal. That was great. You know, that was never winning a medal myself as a sailor, and but being able to be there as part of the team to coach it. That was amazing.
Did you feel quite emotional when she was presented with her medal?
Relieved. I felt very relieved. We put a lot into that that medal, and I mean it's so close between getting a medal and not getting a medal, and to go home from the games without a medal, that's the hardest thing, I think. And we managed to get the bronze, and I was relieved. Yeah.
Well, let's hope you're relieved again this year.
Let's hope so.